Oh, yeah. I'll hit send when we're ready.
This is not a drill, my friends. It's a mock. That's right, baby. All this free agency news completely changes the entire dynamic of what the Broncos are looking for, what the primary targets are, and what all the teams in front of them are doing. We're going to get into it all starting now. DNVR Draft Pod. We are doing it. Boy, am I hyped for this one. Of course, coming to you live from downtown Denver on the corner of Colfax and York above the DNVR bar, live from the Toyota Lounge. Toyota, of course, the official vehicle of DNVR. We are driven by your front range Toyota stores. Come join us in the Toyota chat. Give us a like. Thank you, Preston, for getting the likes going. We appreciate you. Come one, come all. I'm so hyped, Henry. And I'm so hyped to do this with you, man, because you've been on that film grind these last few days. If you haven't, better check out Hank's film breakdowns. I used to have that job, so I sure appreciate how much time it takes to get into all the film and actually get a feel for a prospect and not just like post some highlights. So yeah, Henry Chisholm, the man, the myth, the legend from DNVR Broncos, just did a show with Benny Fowler. Check that out after you check us out. Yeah, man. So a lot's changed.
A lot has changed.
A lot has changed.
Crazy to think we just did this podcast last Thursday. It's only been a week.
I know. Whole new world, brother.
Whole new world.
Whole new world. And it doesn't even just start with the DJ Jones re-signing, Hank. I want to go a step further. I think it starts with the Garrett Bowles extension at the end of the season, right? Because that could have been a big potential need where you're going into this offseason having to sign a left tackle or draft one. No, Cam Robinson's still around, if I'm not mistaken. Some options still around. Instead, they re-sign, they give Bulls that extension. They sign Matt Pert to a sneaky as your developmental tackle. They get DJ Jones back for 2 more years, and then they go add 2 studs in the back 7 from that Niners defense, and Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga, a favorite of mine, a favorite of our Draft Pod listeners. And then to top it all off, that's right, get your drinks ready. Take a sip of your Coors Light because they got their joker in Evan Engram. So this changes a lot because we were coming into the show. It was getting kind of boring to talk about mocks because it was all the same thing.
Colston Loveland. Oh, could Jeanty fall? Colston Loveland.
Right, exactly. Oh, could Tyler Warren fall? Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland.
Emeka Egbuka, but Sean likes the receivers.
That's right. Yeah, now that opens it up. We've got a little more variety. What's getting pushed up as the top needs now?
Well, it's still running back. Like you kind of address the holes. It is still running back.
Do you think they still get a vet?
It depends. I don't think they get a vet before the draft.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
I think
that is interesting.
Again, the running back market typically is a little bit slower than other markets. You know, you have like the big guys go off the board early, of course, but for the most part, a lot of those signings get done after the draft. And I think given how deep this draft class is, a lot of teams are going to want to see what they wind up with in the draft before they have to decide about bringing a veteran in. So I think, if you wind up with 2 rookie running backs, then no, they don't sign a vet. But if you wind up with 1, then yes, they sign a vet. But I think unless the running back market really, really heats up in the next couple of weeks, which I really doubt it will, I think the Broncos, like many other teams, will just be patient.
That would really push running back up the list.
It would.
Bet365's odds, not too high on the Broncos' ability to get Ashton Jeanty. They have props for team to draft Ashton Jeanty. The Broncos have the 5th shortest odds at plus 2,000, 20-1. Not exactly a lock, but there are 4 teams ahead of them, all with odds shorter than plus 1,000. It's the Bears at plus 145.
Yep.
The Raiders plus 160.
Yep.
The Cowboys plus 450, who signed Javonte but let Rico Dowdle go. Then it's the Saints at plus 900.
Notably, all teams picking ahead of the Broncos, well ahead of the Broncos. This isn't like, oh, could Jeanty fall the Broncos and they pass? No. I mean, this is all like odds are he is off the board well before the Broncos make their pick.
And to me, that checks out, man.
100%. I think Travis Hunter is the best football player in this draft. Ashton Jeanty's number 2 to me. I think you have Abdul Carter up there. But.
I have Shador in front of Jeanty as well, where position value matters a lot, and I believe in Shador.
If you're going positional value, then
quite a bit, Shador to me is the clear QB1. I know that's not a popular opinion in the draft world right now. That's fine by me. But yeah, Ashton Jeanty still a clear-cut top 5 pick for me.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
And then, I think, okay, if it's not Jeanty, running back at 20 possible. Running back just as possible at 51. You don't necessarily need to force the issue. And I think the same group of candidates that you might be looking at 20 could very easily be there at 51. Or, as we all know, obviously Sean Payton, no stranger to moving up in the draft. Well, the option to move up exists in every single round, not just in the first round. You could move up from 51 to the early 40s, the late 30s, and still find your Trayvon Hendersons, your Omarion Hamptons, your Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson. Dylan Sampson had a 4.4 at his pro day. I'm very high on the Tennessee running back. I'm very high on Raheem Sanders, Rocket Sanders, South Carolina star running back who had a phenomenal showing. And then after that, I think you have plenty of options in the 3rd, the early 4th, and beyond, because it is a loaded running back class, and a running back class where I don't think you could go wrong at all by adding 2 running backs.
I agree.
And then as you've said, your options are open because you might get that vet after the draft. Maybe you feel less like you need one, or you can choose your vet a little more judiciously after you've made your 2 pickups.
You know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
I mean, if you draft 2, then I don't think they sign a vet. Like I think you're looking. The most likely situation to me is that you keep 4 running backs, including Audric and Jaleel. And then you add more. Now there's a chance they only keep 3, so those guys are fighting for a spot. There's a chance Tyler Bidet or Blake Watson has a great camp and takes one of those spots from one of those 2, or from a vet. And you say, like, we signed Nick Chubb. And maybe you get to the point where you say he just doesn't look like himself and you come up for the season. Chubb you'd probably have to hold on to contract-wise. But a lower level vet you could move on from.
Where's J.K. Dobbins fall in that?
I mean, you sign him, he's a guaranteed roster spot probably. But Dobbins, not quite my guy.
Yeah.
If they sign him, I would probably watch him play last year and be like, well, he is really good. Can't argue that. But again, there's the injuries and stuff. Feels like we know kind of what he is at this point, which is a good running back. But this is a class where I think you could probably get a great running back.
Agreed. And maybe still find a joker running back later on. Bashal Tootin, maybe not a later on type of running back, but if Sean Payton loved the guy and took him at 51, I certainly wouldn't complain. I've obviously expressed my love for Brashard Smith and how I think he's a perfect joker running back as well. After that, what are the positions that stand out to you as maybe not aggressive needs? Because I think running back's the only one where like any layman can look at the Broncos roster and be like, well, they're at least drafting 1 in April. After that, wide receiver, what else? Where does the joker tight end still lie on the priority list? And then, tell the people maybe the less headliney needs that now do move up the list. Where's linebacker fall on that,
Yeah, I think let's just fly through. Quarterback, you need a 3rd quarterback. Now, do you need to draft one? If there's one you like on day 3, then why not? Odds are, though, it's more of like undrafted free agent or...
I maybe watched a little Cam Miller tape yesterday. North Dakota State came in for a top 30 visit.
Cam Miller goes undrafted. I'm very happy to see Cam Miller in Denver. So, but I wouldn't call... I guess you do need one, but it's not like a need you're drafting.
Sneaky need, though.
That's the tough part about the word need is that they do need one, but need kind of implies something else.
Right.
Receiver. A lot of debate about whether you should just like what you got. I'd throw this out there. Lil Jordan Humphrey, Josh Reynolds combined to play 67% of the Broncos snaps last year.
That's significant.
You could fit a starter in while not reducing any of the 3 young guys' roles. Now, if you get somebody who, like Lil Jordan Humphrey, plays 50% of the snaps, you get to split the Reynolds 17%, let those other guys kind of grow into those roles, and that could make some sense too. So I'd say receiver, there is a need, but it might be the need aspect of it might be more similar to quarterback need, where it's like, yeah, you do need just one more guy there.
Right, but if that one more guy's wide receiver 4,
yep,
that's not something you use a top 100 pick on.
There is certainly room for wide receiver 2, though, if you decided that you want to go that route. Tight end. I like the Broncos tight end room. Evan Engram as your joker, like it. Adam Troutman as your number 2, like it. Nate Adkins as your number 3, like it. Lucas Kroll as your number 4, see if he makes the roster, I like it. Certainly there is room, though, if you wanted to add one.
The Australian Utah.
Thomas Yasmin, who we really like. Now, again, you probably get him onto the practice squad, but if you really like him and want him playing, I guess you probably just activate him the first 4 weeks and then give him a roster spot after. So no need at tight end anymore.
So, yeah, and, maybe you find a guy like Yasmin you like in day 3,
totally.
Who the common listener doesn't know as much, but we feel good about and get low-key hyped about. And let's not forget, Jimmy Graham was a day 3 pick.
Yep. So I would say no need at tight end, but there is room for a tight end. If you like Colston Loveland, he's there at 20. There's no reason you can't take him. It's just that you no longer feel like you're forced to take him.
On offense, is there anything left? Developmental O-lineman?
You're set at
covered.
You're set at tackle. You're deep at tackle. You're saying Frank Crum, really not much of a path to a roster spot even. He was kind of that guy. Interior, you could probably fit somebody in if you wanted, but again,
center.
Yeah, I mean, as a starter.
Yeah.
If you a starting center,
that could be a sneaky top 100 pick.
Yep.
As you see a Jared Wilson, you see a Gray Zabel, someone like that you're like, I need to pull the trigger and try to upgrade the guy who's handing the ball to Bo every single snap.
But if you're not getting a starter, I don't think you touch a center because you have
you
have
don't
Forsythe
need the
as your
depth
number
piece.
2, and then you
point.
spent 7th round pick on Gargiulo last year. Now those guys have some guard versatility. Palshevsky, who is your swing tackle, has some guard versatility as well. We saw him at guard.
It's a good clarification.
And then you still have Quinn Bailey. You still have Calvin Throckmorton. So there is absolutely no need on the offensive line. But if there's a prospect you like and want to develop, again, you can fit him in. It just means you're picking somebody to not make the roster.
So then on defense, Zach Allen, JFM, they're up in a year.
Yep.
Nick Benito also.
So I would say...
Does front 7 become a bit of a sneaky need? And where does linebacker rank? You've got 2 minutes before a break.
Yep. I think some sort of 3 technique, 5 technique, there is... I don't mind the competition they have. But there's certainly room to add somebody else to that competition. Now, you're helped out by the fact that Zach Allen hardly comes off the field, which is rare for that position. Defensive tackle, you're set, though. DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach, and then you got like Uzurike in there. Matt Henningsen actually winds up playing there more than he has on the end, so you're probably set. Those pass rusher types, though, there's room. Edges, you got your top 4. There's room. Typically, you want to carry 5, though, and if you wanted to make it a really good number 5, there's no reason not to do that.
And there's that Drew Sanders versatility where if you drafted like an insurance guy for Alex Singleton in a year, for Dre Greenlaw's injury situation, you could draft a off-ball linebacker and then guess what, Drew Sanders? Back in the edge room, back snip, snap. It's the office scene.
Drew Sanders, Justin Sternad is your backup linebackers.
Oh, I forgot about Sternad.
Love it. Like, that's a great group.
100%.
Backup safety, PJ Locke. Love it. Now JL Skinner competing with Devin Key. There's room to increase that competition.
Turner Yell?
He's back. Again, I personally like that room too. I like pretty much every room.
So the secondary you feel good about.
Yeah.
It's more these
maybe
sneaky needs on the front 7.
I think blue chip corner
Abrams drain though.
and Damari. Those are your best.
Yeah.
But I mean,
We might look at
saw,
some slot options, some nickel corners. Come draft time.
I saw
mock time.
I saw more out of Damari Mathis in his rookie year than we saw out of Chris Abrams drain in his rookie year. Now, Damari Mathis.
I mean, in pure snaps, yes.
Snaps and performance within those snaps. It was that year 2 for Damari where he winds up getting benched. And so, like, I am very excited about Chris Abrams' drain. Small sample size, the pass interference. Like, it's not like we know that he's good. It's just that, if he gets his opportunity, it's
argued,
great.
Yes, you're right, but with the caveat of Abrams drain's best performance better than any rookie performance by Dre Mathis.
I can't remember every game.
I know, it's a tough one. Okay.
And I would still probably guess Damari. Because again, the hype was big on Damari. Damari went into his second season as a starter.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But so you just don't know where Chris is going to go from here.
So there's a lot going on, but I think we can identify our main needs. We're going to get into it all now and start this mock. Exactly. On the other side where we got to shout out Coors Light. Look, man, it's that time of year. Hank's on that grind, that film grind, watching lots of football.
I have done nothing but watch football for days.
It catches you at different times. I remember when I was on that grind, the baby was crying. Kate woke me up in the middle of the night. It was a coaching search film grind I was on. And I said something about the McVay offense as she was waking me up. I was like, I mumbled something about a disciple of the McVay offense. So yeah, man, it's those periods. I'm sure in your real jobs, you get these as well.
Yep.
You got to choose chill sometimes.
Yes.
And just cool off with a nice Coors Light. It goes down so delicious, so easy. I'm an old guy now. It's digestible like few other beers, and I really appreciate that. It's just great. The mountains turn blue. You choose chill. Woo! Cool like the Rockies. Choose chill this winter and reach for a Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door by visiting CoorsLight.com/DNVR. You guessed it, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And of course, we're never ordinary on the DNVR Draft Podcast, and so is our exclusive betting partner, Bet365, the only place you can use our code DNVR365 and get in on all the fun. Hank, I know you've been in on some golf bets.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in on some tennis futures. I've been really doing a lot of futures on Nuggets and Avs.
Yeah, me too.
And as the draft props come up, I may be sprinkling Armand Membao, first offensive lineman, to go off the board,
like it.
and plus money. If you really believe T-Mac is the drop, you can find some good value on Matthew Golden, wide receiver 1, and stuff like that.
And Travis counting as cornerback in these, right? Must be.
Yeah, yes.
Unless you're getting crazy value.
That's a tricky way to go about it, too. Look, man, you're a ball knower. You're listening to the DNVR Draft Pod, so your credentials are immaculate. We already know that you know ball. So get in on the fun at Bet365 and use that ball knowledge to make you some money. Use our code. Use the QR code right there. Use the link in the description. They're true homies, man. Check them out. And when you sign up, all you have to do is $10 minimum deposit, $5 minimum bet, win, lose, or draw. As soon as that first bet hits, $150 in bonus bets. They do not expire, at least for a long while. And I know mine were available for months at a time. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you, someone you know, has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, we're firing up the mock machine, Hank. And I hope you've had enough time to pay attention to what these other teams have been doing in free agency, because we're doing it, man. And I think these free agent moves are really going to help us guide us through these first 19 picks.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans haven't done a ton at quarterback.
Yep. I found a good guide. So they made the deal for... They weren't Pickett. Pickett went back to
Browns.
Zach
Wilson went to Miami, right?
Yes. Did the Titans really do nothing?
It's Will Levis's world, and we're just living in it.
Wow.
So, I think quarterback is aggressively on the board for the Titans.
Nothing at all.
or the derelict Houston Oilers as we remember them.
Yes. Okay, I got my stuff pulled up now.
So it's Cam or Shador, man. You cannot
It is
talk
that
me out
simple.
of this. If I was making that pick, I would go Shador 1,000 times out of 1,000. I think Cam Ward's got a bit of that Jaden Daniels going for him, where it was like, Jaden, I had some questions in the middle stuff, but I had no questions about him as a runner or being able to make those explosive plays with his arm, both scrambling or from the pocket. And Cam has enough of those big plays where I think you get excited about that. Now, he's older. I've seen plenty of flaws in his game to where I'm a real Cam Ward skeptic.
Yep, me too. Accuracy not good.
I also do not believe any of this smoke from Shador.
Really?
I've seen this with Coach Prime's buffs as like every cycle of media member realizes like you get a lot of traction if you say negative things about Shador or Coach Prime.
Cam Ward minus 300 to be the pick though. So
I
we
know.
would be going well off the...
I know. No, and I mean everything you hear from all different people who've been on the ground and talking to scouts, which again, talking to scouts a little different from talking to the ultimate decision maker. It's Cam right now.
It is Cam, I think.
Let's go Cam. Cam Ward, first overall pick. And then we go to the Browns, who Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson. Wowzers. If you wanted your team to get trolled online, this is the quarterback room for you. I mean, not even close.
Absolutely.
I don't know, man. I think there's not enough that's been done to go quarterback, but that's also a lot of bodies to where I'm not sure you're putting a rookie quarterback in a position to like thrive with all those guys. So I definitely could be sold on the fact that they're going to go non-quarterback. You do re-sign Myles Garrett. I think you go Travis Hunter.
Interesting. I will say, just because you have quarterbacks doesn't mean you can't draft a rookie. I mean, you look at
Absolutely agree.
like the Vikings at the end of the year with Sam Darnold, Nick Mullins, Brett Rippon, of course JJ McCarthy on the bench, and then for good measure, let's just go get Daniel Jones in there too. And so, like, I think this probably is quarterback for the Browns. If you want to go a different route, I'm not going to be surprised.
Let's go Shador then.
Okay, cool.
I'm with you, man.
Yep.
We're going to go Shador number 2 here with the Browns. Let's keep it moving because the Giants, I think, are very disappointed that quarterbacks went 1 and 2.
Probably.
Which is also why I do not believe in this Shador dropping talk because I just think like the Giants are desperate.
Are they rolling with Drew Lock for a year?
Yeah, no way.
I doubt it.
So there you go. Our quarterbacks are off the board.
Yep.
We will see if there's a third quarterback. I forget. It wasn't Bucky Brooks. Charles Davis had quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3 and had Jackson Dart at this pick.
Our own friend Duffy
we're
said...
safe to say no.
Yes, I'm saying no.
Fran said it's more likely to see only one quarterback go top 20, right?
Than it is
than 3 top 10.
Yeah, 3 top 20.
Yeah.
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 So it's not quarterback here. To me, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, that's kind of the only conversation.
Those two and that's it.
They have Brian Burns, they have Kayvon Thibodeau. I lean Travis because of that.
Samesies.
Cool.
And then number 4 is an easy pick. I think the Patriots are basically like praying that Hunter or Abdul Carter drop to them, and then it's a super easy pick for them.
I think so too. Interestingly, so Mike Clay puts together his projections, usually some of the better projections.
Shout out Mike Clay.
He has right now, as it stands, again, some teams have holes to fill. He has the Patriots as the number 1 defense in the NFL, just based on his numbers.
Wowzers.
I mean, but you throw, like, I get where he's coming from. You decide you're going to throw Carlton Davis in there to pair with Christian Gonzalez. You know, you sign Milton Williams to go with Christian Barmore. Harold Landry comes, like, I think maybe this isn't quite so set or forget, but
You need a star edge on that defense.
You probably say,
which is why Abdul Carter makes so much sense.
Totally.
Jaguars, man. Dave let go of a lot of receiving talent.
Mm-hmm.
They have Liam Cohen there. Duval.
That guy. Ugh.
Legend.
Yes.
I do not believe, not even for a second, any of this chatter that T-Mac, Tatoria McMillan, Tet is going to drop far into the Broncos' lap at 20, which I would love. We talked about 2 months ago how he would be the perfect wide receiver to complement this receiving core and Sean Payton's offense. I mean, you came and like described the guy, and it's T-Mac to a T.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how he could go past the Jaguars if this is how the draft falls.
I will say, so they draft Brian Thomas last year.
Yeah.
They also signed Gabe Davis that year. And now they add Diami Brown. So even after, so you signed Diami Brown, do you now put Gabe Davis on the bench? Have we seen enough and say like, okay, you're number 4. We're going receiver here.
I think he's a good number 4, maybe a big slot from time to time.
Okay.
I also think Diami Brown's not necessarily set and forget. Like, you are number 3 no matter what. I think Gabe could be your big slot, and
1 year, $10 million
Diami could
though,
be your
like,
speedster. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just think at some point you got to do something for T-Law now. The other part's left tackle. Like, this is an O-line that got revamped heavily with those trades at the deadline, Cam Robinson above all. And so, yeah, could I see them go in Armand Membao, Will Campbell, you name it? Absolutely. I just think McMillan is a head above the rest at this point.
Really? Okay.
I do.
You could pair
Or Jeanty.
Mason Graham, pair him up with Mason Smith, double Mason on that defensive line.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, to me, I would probably lean tackle first and then kind of toss up in the Graham. I probably wouldn't go receiver, honestly.
Okay.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
At least I got my thoughts out, and that's fine. Let's go Membao if we're going offensive tackle then.
Okay, let's do it.
We'll go Armand Membao from Mizzou, and it's the Raiders at 6. Ashton Jeanty no matter what, Hank?
Not no matter what, but heavy favorite. I think I go Jeanty. I also say
I do too. It's Pete Carroll.
True, but also it's Geno Smith, and who was he throwing the ball to last year?
Yep.
DK Metcalf. If you want a big dude, I mean, your receivers right now: Jacoby
Lockett,
Myers, Trey
JSN.
Tucker. Currently, your number 3 receiver is Raymond Keaton. I think this
we
could
all
be
know who that is, of course.
This could be a spot where you could go receiver, although I do agree it probably
Call a little T-Mac?
a big receiver for Geno. I could see the fit, but
honestly, T-Mac and Bowers, that starts to be. Now you were also
Jacoby Myers also, yeah.
You were also saying their O-line's not the best, so I think
could go
that's
tackle.
another area. Now, Geno needs good blocking, man.
That is true. And somehow Will Campbell's still there. So Will Campbell, you play him at right tackle then? Or flip Colton Miller?
Man, dude.
I don't love the...
Best of luck to you having a right tackle with that length deficiencies that he has, but I guess I've become old school. You know, Hank, you live long enough, you just see the world pass you by.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah, all the kids are into little T-Rex arms, offensive tackles. I didn't know that was all the trends. I guess the TikToks are all in on 32-inch armed
ever since Rashawn
offensive
Slater
tackles. So credit to you guys, you know, huffing whippets and loving length deficient kings, I guess. So Will Campbell.
Kings. So we're thinking. I mean, again,
that's fine. You've talked me into it.
Okay, let's go.
You're
Will
our
Campbell.
expert here. Sure, it's at 7. That's a tough one. And Hank's making that face like I gotta think on this one for a second. Is what Hank's face is saying. So I'm gonna give Hank a quick little break-a-rooski to think on this one while we tell you about our good friends at Toyota. Come in the chat, Toyota chat on Fleek, thumbs up, phenomenal comments right now. I did that. I talked during the animation. Shame on me.
Yep.
Toyota would never do that because they are so reliable. Such a great family car, such a great Colorado car. Trucks, SUVs, 4Runner, man. That's a sharp car right there.
It is.
All sorts of, what do we call those? Environmentally friendly cars?
We do call them that.
So they've got all sorts of hybrid and electric car options. But really what we love about Toyota is they're Colorado like us. They're Colorado through and through. They get it, man. Safe cars, great mountain cars, great winter weather cars.
What aren't they great for?
It's an amazing question.
I guess they can't fly.
Their scouting report would just be all pros and no cons.
Wow.
I
agree.
Yeah, they could
Travis Hunter.
Exactly. They could never understand
Ashton Jeanty of
Will
cars.
Campbell's length deficiency.
No.
They'd be like, what?
Oof.
That's crazy. Can't relate, homie. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood.
Shout out Lakewood.
Lakewood, stand up. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places,
Let's
baby.
go places.
We're going places with this mock draft, but not after we tell you about our events. Of course, next week's going to be lit. Great time to be a diehard. Get your free shirt. Get your discount at the DNVR bar and come here Thursday morning and get straight litty at the Mecca while the DNVR bar is popping off with March Madness going straight nutty. Also, stay tuned, dnvr.com/events. You nailed it, baby. To check out all the fun stuff we've got coming up for draft day. Mm-hmm. That's going to be live very soon. You can see Hank and I on stage doing what we're doing now in more of a 4-hour. We are live now, but live reacting to the picks format. It's going to be truly unbelievable.
It will. Yeah, if you like us on your computer for 1 hour, imagine us in person for 4 hours.
That's right. We draft the right guy. I'll shotgun a Coors Light with you.
I'll shotgun one if we don't. Guaranteed shotgun. Guaranteed shotgun.
Go. Follow us on social at DNVR_sports or go to thednvr.com/events to check out our calendar and become a diehard today. Come on, baby. Let's not mess around. Ball, you are a diehard if you're in on this pod. So do the thing. Great sale going on right now. If you're missing out on Hank's film rooms, like I kind of think your love of ball is being questioned.
Have you read the Evan Engram one yet? Be honest.
I haven't.
It's the best one. It is the best one, just so you know.
A little bird told me 20 clips.
20 is the number.
You went straight and
Evan
nutty
Engram
on that one.
Well, and there was one, I'll say.
Evan Engram, former draft crush of mine. If you were listening to this pod back in 2017,
that's correct.
You know the draft pod loved Evan Engram.
Hufanga second best, but I lied and said it's a dozen clips just because I didn't want to overwhelm people. It's also 20.
Oh,
And I was like, I don't want people to be like,
got him.
I don't have time for 20 clips. It's like, I promise they're worth it.
Hank, this will surprise no one starting with us, but we said we'd fly by these first 19 picks.
Ew.
We're a pick 7, so not exactly flying by.
7 in that segment, need 12 in this segment. That's doable.
Yep, we can do it. We can do it. Okay, the Jets at 7. They might be desperate enough to take Jackson Dart.
I think they'll ride with Fields. You gave Fields $20 million.
Fields is kind of fun.
If there was a good quarterback, I think they would do it. But I think this shows me they're patching it up with Fields. They're going to add somewhere else and figure it out in the future.
Offense, the only pick that would make sense then, probably Tyler Warren. Or Colston Loveland.
Losing Tyler Conklin. And receivers, Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Xavier Gibson. So there is room for a third receiver. Then defensively, Lakai Fotu, Quinnen Williams in the middle. Probably don't need Mason here. Yeah, no, I think you were onto something there.
Tyler Warren to the Big Apple.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it happens. Also, I expect him to run a blazing fast time. We go to a real mover and shaker team in free agency, the Panthers. Plenty of defensive needs, but I do think you could add another wide receiver here to really go all in on Bryce Young.
Yep, I think that would make sense.
The
Brought back
T-Mac
Tommy
fall
Tremble,
ends
have
here.
Jatavian Sanders, so it's not Loveland. Yeah, I think T-Mac.
Okay. Then we go to the New Orleans Saints. We stay in the NFC South. Saints are always a weird one, man. They love themselves going heavy on the trenches, though.
They do.
And I could see that being a play right now. Mason Graham, low-key falling quite a bit.
Brian Brissy, they did sign Kalen Saunders. And traded for Devon Godchaux.
Yes.
So I don't think it's interior if they could do. I think edge rusher probably makes a little more sense at this point.
Go Jalen Walker?
Could also be corner. Corner, you're looking
Yeah.
Kool-Aid McKinstry, Alontae Taylor, just signed Isaac Yadam, who is penciled in as a starter.
Be quite the upset to have
Receiver
Will
too.
Johnson go ahead of Mason Graham.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. But again, I think they're kind of set in the middle. Brissy, Kalen Saunders, and trade for Devon Godchaux. I mean, they're spending money at least like they don't need another.
Could this be a Jeanty team?
Who? Sneaky could. I say probably not, though. Sneaky could.
Plus 900 to draft him. So.
Could this be a Matthew Golden team? You have Olave,
Yeah, I know.
Rashid Shaheed, Kevin Austin Jr., other
Rashid
starters.
Shaheed, like, he's coming back from injury. I
Yep.
think he's a baller.
Me too. So then your three receivers, Olave, Shaheed, Golden. Do you just go all in on that and say Derek Carr, get the ball? I think there are a lot of options here. I would probably go Will Johnson.
Okay, let's do Will Johnson.
You like Will Johnson?
It
Okay.
feels very, very Saintsy. I think this is about as far as Jeanty falls to the Bears at 10. Ben Johnson, it's a nice fit.
Even with DeAndre Swift?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I could also see them going O-line because you've addressed the interior. You have your right tackle of the future and right.
But you're starting Braxton Jones on the left.
Yeah. But you did. Like, you have made a commitment to Braxton Jones.
Okay.
So I think I'd probably go Jeanty.
Okay. I think
Would you go Kelvin Banks?
I think I probably would, but we went with mine on the last pick.
No, let's go Kelvin Banks. I love this.
Okay.
Okay, so the Jeanty fall is occurring, which is very interesting. The Niners is going to be hard to figure out who they go with because all needs have opened up. Like everything. O-line, they've lost two key pieces, right? Their left tackle who started when Trent Williams was injured last year has gone to the Chiefs for big money, and Aaron Banks is also gone. They, of course, also lost McGlinchey a couple off seasons ago.
Yep.
I think you could revamp the O-line, but we have had 3 O-linemen go off the board already.
Do they go full 49ers, though? And what did the 49ers do for a decade?
D-line,
D-line.
D-line, D-line, D-line.
And somehow they're at a point where their two interior guys are Evan Anderson and Jordan Elliott, who, no offense to them, they're not Mason Graham, who's
such a
somehow
great
still
pick.
here. I
Yep.
think we got to get him off the
Such
board.
a great pick. And there you go. You get to the Cowboys, and you have Ashton Jeanty falling right into their lap.
And that's the one I think is too easy.
There you go. Ashton Jeanty at 12. Sorry, Broncos fans. The dream is over. At 13, the Miami Dolphins. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh
Let's
boy, oh boy,
let's
oh
do
boy.
a little search of the board. I think we went pretty fast through those. Let's just
Yeah.
say, again, we can see up there Jalen Walker available, Shamar Stewart available, Michael Williams, Mike Green. Some very good cornerbacks on the board. Edge.
Yeah.
And then I was getting into Jahdae Barron. Again, he comes into play, corner, Colson Loveland tight end. I don't think any of this is too crazy in terms of guys falling, although I do think run on edge rushers might make some sense.
Yep.
Is that we're looking at Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, though, with Chop Robinson as your third. I don't think the edge rusher run
I don't
starts
think
here.
that starts here either. they kind of wish the offensive tackle run had started later. But I do think both Josh Simmons and Josh Connerly Jr. would be really nice picks here.
Current starters, Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson.
Yeah.
So you develop behind Armstead for a year. Also used a second-round pick on Patrick Paul last year as a tackle.
That's true.
Maybe, I mean, it could be a situation where you take one of these.
Jahadi Barron, man.
Okay.
Add a little dog to the back end. Yeah. I kind of think that might be the sneaky pick here.
I like it. I really like it.
Barron
actually.
also, I think, in NFL circles has quite a few fans, and
yes,
you can see why. Colston Loveland to the Colts, tight end, kind of an obvious need, which is why I think that Evan Engram signing was so huge, because getting both those guys to go past 14, I think, was going to be hard.
Because
edges are there, but they did just go Letu Latu last year.
Could go center guard. Yeah, with Latu there, you're probably set. Kwity Paye, Samson Ebkebon. You could do it. You could do it. It's probably unlikely, but they could. Starting Jalen Jones, who I really liked in the draft a couple years ago at cornerback, 7th-round pick.
It's just we've kind of run out of corners, man. Could they
might
go
be
safety?
as simple as it's just Colston
Enuwari or Malachi Starks could be in the mix.
They signed Cam Bynum to pair with Nick Cross. I think it's Colston Loveland.
There you go.
I think it is.
There you go. We tried to go other options, but that was it.
There's a reason everybody mocks him a tight end.
Okay. This is where the edge run starts because it is your Atlanta Falcons, and they're just clueless as to how to draft edge rushers every single year. It's like, oh, shoot, we need edge rushers.
And so they signed Leonard Floyd. You're looking at Arnold Ebiketie on the other side. What do you want to add to the mix there? Is it power or speed?
I think it's a little combo of the both, and that's Shamar Stewart or Mikael Williams. I think they've gone the undersized edge route before, and, shout out to Vic Beasley. It hasn't always worked out.
Shout out to Vic Beasley.
Shamar Stewart, I think the hype is real, man.
Let's do it.
At 15, Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. We're at 16 for the Cardinals, another team who could definitely use an edge rusher.
So to stay on schedule, we got 3 minutes for 4 picks.
There you go.
We got it.
Jalen, I think it's one of the Georgia guys, Walker or Mikael Williams.
Let's go Walker.
There you go. We still need testing numbers there. And speaking of defensive line, here are the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, and so you'd think they have to do something.
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson or not.
Yeah.
You still probably need an edge. You just need to upgrade the defense in all places. And aside from the safeties, the edge guys are your best guys.
So Mikael Williams or Mike Green, I feel like. Probably Williams.
Yep. 100% Williams, who ran a 4.7. I think that's just fine. Sam Darnold, need to protect him in Seattle at pick 19. No, I'm sorry, 18. Yep. So we have almost made it. O-line, Josh Simmons. You could go interior and Tyler Booker, whose RAS score would be the lowest of any first-round pick for like 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. That's what MathBomb was tweeting out.
Signed DeMarcus Lawrence.
I could see them go one of those safeties or surprise us with like Jihad Campbell too. And I could also see them go wide receiver, Hank. Like, Matthew Golden, Egbuka, LB3. I think all those guys start to be in play very much so. You have like a stud big slot.
Is pairing Egbuka with JSN too cute? Because like, former teammates, similar players, or is that just kind of an awesome fit together?
I think it's an awesome fit.
I think I like that.
He's also
guard.
the highest guy on my board by a mile right now.
Okay, then let's do it.
Let's go Egbuka and surprise everyone else.
Pick before the Broncos. Are they breaking hearts?
I think the Bucks could easily take one of these edges.
Yeah, just signed Hassan Reddick, Yaya Diaby on the other side.
Lost
Shaq Barrett is a free agent, I believe.
Yeah, and lost the former first rounder Joe Tyrion.
Oh, Tryon Shianka.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Washington guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I think edge makes sense.
Okay, Mike Green, James Pierce.
Let's go Mike Green.
Beautiful, and look at us.
There's the board for the Broncos. We did it
on time. Best guys left on my board are Josh Connerly Jr., Ariante Irsay, Josh Simmons, so 3 offensive tackles. Then it's Luther Burden the third, LB3. Then it's the 2 safeties, Nick Inuwari and Malachi Starks. Then it's Donovan Jackson. Geez, I'm really high on these offensive linemen. Then it's Walter Nolan. Mike Green is off the board. So then it's Derek Harmon, the Oregon defensive tackle. James Pierce Jr., the fastest edge on the board, ran a 4.4, the Tennessee standout. Then it's Matthew Golden, Tyler Booker, Deion Walker, and Kenneth Grant, the 2 nose tackles.
Let's start with James Pierce Jr. I'll say that in doing this exercise, knowing this was coming, there was one player that I decided I should go back and watch. James Pierce Jr. was that guy. Because for so long, it's just like, well, edge rusher, it's kind of like a luxury to go and do it. And I haven't studied him because I know what he is. I watched him a little bit last year. Like the athletics, I know the story. The sack numbers, it was only like 8.5 this year. It was no big deal. And he's skinny, speedy, tore up the combine, that sort of stuff. And I was like, well, maybe it's time to start watching old James Pierce Jr.
Did you notice he was on our thumbnail?
I did notice. And when I saw it, I was like, ooh, do I tell this story now or do I save it for the pod?
Great minds think alike.
James Pierce Jr., super fast. Super long. You look at him wearing number 27 and you're like, wait, edge rusher? No, not an edge rusher. I wonder about that size. I think...
Yes, the skinniness, wiry frame. But I liked his compete in the SEC against the run. And I really liked his range, Hank.
I agree.
Like as a stand-up edge, I think this guy gives you a lot of options.
You drop him back occasionally. Yeah. Does he have the fluidity to make some plays in coverage?
Schwan Man just walked in too. Schwan Man, like an emperor in Roman time. James Pierce Jr. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Way up.
Schwan Man gave us one of these, baby. Oh, boy. Crank it up.
Yeah. So I think,
it's a conversation. We're real ball knowers. We build from the trenches. We build inside out.
I think
he is long enough to play opposite Benito. I could see a path where he's a Coop upgrade.
Yep.
Coop just got a bag though.
Yeah, I think. You can play them together. There's nothing wrong with having a few good edge rushers.
NASCAR front time.
Absolutely, he's one of those guys who Sean said last year. When he first met Bo Nix, he was surprised how big he was because he didn't seem quite as big on tape. You meet him and you're like, oh, this is a really big dude. That would be my test. If I'm the Broncos, I want to get into a room with James Pierce Jr. and just like look at him, see what because 6'5.5", even if he looks skinny on tape, you might look at that guy and be like, oh my goodness, that is a big human being. He does look like an edge rusher in the NFL. And I'm not saying like James Pierce Jr. should be our pick, but I think that he is on the very short list of names that I would be very tempted by. Because again, like coming into the season, he was supposed to be, he was potential number 1 pick. You're saying like,
yes,
there's James Pierce Jr., there's Travis Hunter, like who's going to be top
clear.
of the top?
He was the guy we were hyping in the edge class above Abdul Carter.
And
that defense for Tennessee played lights out. Like that defensive front was awesome.
Only 8 sacks, but the defense was really good. And then you go back and watch it. It's like
heavy rotation.
Wait, he just chased that quarterback, drug him down, 1 yard gain.
And he's like,
what's the difference between that and a sack?
Like give him work on his pass rushing arsenal and he could be a really nice pick. Okay.
Jihad Campbell?
I know. Jihad Campbell, the top inside linebacker, tested out of this world.
Yes, he did.
Really like his instincts in coverage. Really like his movement sideline to sideline. Got some juice as an edge rusher.
Yep.
What worries me a little, he strikes me as undersized. He strikes me as light in the pants.
Yep.
And I worry him as a downhill run stuffer.
Interesting. Yeah. Which again, the plan is probably... Obviously, Dre Greenlaw starts. Singleton probably does start. You get some packages for Jihad Campbell. You get him opportunity in the season, rotate him in, you do it. After the season, he's probably Singleton's replacement. And who knows? It could even come sooner.
Yeah. And in the immediate, he's like a massive Drew Sanders / Justin Sternad upgrade.
Exactly. This would not be my pick.
Sean's taken linebackers fairly high, not quite this high, if I'm not mistaken, just not having his draft history in front of me. It would strike me as a bit odd that George Payton's philosophy has mostly been ignore the position or find value later on in the draft, later on in free agency, and all of a sudden you're using the 20th pick on him.
Yep. This wouldn't be my pick here, but I think it's a good
I
conversation.
think it's a great conversation.
Gray Zabel. Because there's, I mean, again,
Yeah,
you want to...
There's your center upgrade.
There's your center.
I think the hype's unwarranted
Oh, okay.
to be a top 20 pick.
Okay.
I mean, I just talked about, right, BPA for me is Josh Connerly Jr., Ariante, or say Josh Simmons, all American caliber left tackles last season.
You just...
And
there's no room
Donovan
for a tackle.
Jackson.
Let me double check on
but
McGlinchey's contract.
Donovan Jackson, for example, just went from left guard to playing left tackle for the national champions midseason. Like, you're telling me he can do that transition, but it's going to be impossible for him to transition to center.
Okay.
That's where it's like, that's where I'm taking crazy pills, you know?
Okay. You're selling me.
Ariante are, say, too big to play center. Josh Connerly Jr., only complaint I hear is the size, which again, to me, checked off the basic size measurements and is quite a bit bigger. You're telling me he couldn't get some snaps at center and be an upgrade for you?
Fair enough.
Former teammate of Bo Nix, former blindside protector of his.
Tackle-wise, you could get off of Mike McGlinchey before next season. You would save $7 million, though. So more realistically, he'd trade him because he's obviously worth more than $7 million. You probably don't even consider moving him off him until before the 2027. So I think your tackles are locked in, but if you can sell me on they can play center, and I don't love the idea of bumping Ben Powers to center. I think that's just, you got a good thing going with him at guard. Don't mess with it. Obviously, same thing with Quinn. If you can convince me that one of those guys is good at center, I could get behind it. I'm still probably looking elsewhere.
We've got a question. Can Tyler Booker play center? That'd be another consideration. But let's go on the other side of the trenches where I talked about Zach Allen and JFM being up in a year. Walter Nolan's still there. I mean, every defensive lineman not named Mason Graham is still on the board. I guess Shamar Stewart, who could have been a 5-tech option, is gone. Mikael Williams potentially too. But like
Walter Nolan, Darius Alexander, be a little crazy probably here, but
it would be. We talked about a couple episodes ago how we thought that was crazy. Honestly, Landon Jackson, not that outlandish.
It's not that outlandish. Again,
Kenneth Grant, we've mocked before. Does the DJ Jones signing change that so much that we wouldn't? I don't know why no one talks about Tyleek Williams, but the way he played in the college football playoffs, the Ohio State defensive tackle, I think very much should warrant consideration. Here, there's a lot of options.
Safety. Malachi Starks, Nick Emenwari still there. Obviously, have your 2 starters. 3 safety packages, never a bad idea. Especially if Riley Moss, Jaquan McMillan, tough year. You decide you don't want to see too much of them. You could also switch to the big nickel and get your 5 DBs on the field a different way. So I think there's room. Maybe you cut PJ Locke and save the money. Maybe he's your number 4. I wouldn't go safety though.
I wouldn't either, though. I think there's some value. Well, let's circle back and look at running backs.
Then. I think it's time. Actually, real quick, let's hit receivers first because I think I want to finish with running backs.
Yes.
Matthew Golden.
Yep.
Is he too much like Marvin Mims? I don't think so, but I've seen the take. I think they're very different players, honestly.
When I think of Mims, Oklahoma Mims, though, there was like, yes, he's short, but he's stockier. He can fly. I like how competitive he is at the point of attack for a shorter guy. He was really good going to get those moon balls from Caleb Williams. So actually, as prospects, maybe not super different.
The reason I would go that they are is because they have all those similarities, but they're just at their best in different parts of the field. Like Mims, you wanted downfield. You wanted to be leaning on the compete. Whereas Matthew Golden, I think you want more targets to him within 5-10 yards of the line of scrimmage on those in-breaking routes. than you do down the field.
Could be more of a pure slot.
I agree. That's
Could
what
be
it
more
comes
of a
down
pure
to for me.
slot, and that's such a selling point for Egbuka for me.
Yep, definitely.
LB3. In some ways, I would argue LB3 and Mims probably
I
have
agree.
more overlap.
Me too.
Or even Troy Franklin and LB3.
Me too. And I say Mims LB3 very similar, and that's why I probably don't even consider Burden if Golden's on the board. I think Golden adds a different bit of variety, and I think he's the better player in my mind, and that's why I personally, if those were the two options, I'd go that way. Then you could get crazy with an Ayo Manor or Trey Harris, but I probably wouldn't consider that either.
Yeah, for sure. Torrey Horton after that 40. Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins. Are there other running backs worthy of a pick this high? Caleb Johnson, is it too rich now?
It's too rich. It's too rich. And honestly, I'm probably to the point where Henderson, Judkins, probably too rich
as well.
And honestly, to me personally,
It's Hampton or bust.
maybe just a little too rich for Hampton as well. Although I know if you want him, this is probably where you have to get him. So
I agree.
I wouldn't be against the Hampton pick here for that reason. I think he's a good running back. I think if you pass on him, there's a chance that you feel like, oh, well, that was our every down, can catch the ball in the flat, run for 50 yards, break some tackles, do those sorts of things, can do all the work between tackles. I mean, what if he turns out to be Jonathan Taylor and you say we passed on him because it's like, yeah, I'm just not sure he's that much of a game changer. I would regret that.
What about corner, Jose asks in the Toyota chat. And then we've got someone else calling out for a trade down, which, yeah, I think in an ideal world, that is, with how things have fallen, what you do.
The first time Sean Payton trades down, or the next time Sean Payton trades down from a first-round pick will be the first time. And he has been a head coach in the NFL for 20 years. So
Yeah.
that's, I agree.
Never say never.
I agree that I would do it. I'll be shocked if it happens just because of the track record. But I do think second round, going back to cornerbacks.
Go back to corner.
I like those cornerbacks. I think good teams invest in that position. I think that's a spot where you certainly could justify it, ease the guy in. I feel like some of these second round guys might be better. Like you hope that a Siobhan Ravel is there in the second round. Then because of the value, you make the pick. Benjamin Morrison's another one. I don't think that I'm drafting a corner unless I'm saying like, hey, we have this guy graded as the 10th best player in the draft, and here we are at 20. We just got to do it. It has to be an excessive value. Otherwise, and I don't think these guys are quite there.
And at that point, it's like, well, if you're making that argument for the corner, just draft James Pierce Jr.
Yeah. So let's narrow it down. I think James Pierce Jr. very much in the conversation. I think Omarion Hampton very much in the conversation. I'd throw Matthew Golden in there.
I think Jihad Campbell heavily in the conversation.
Okay, I like it.
I also think we need to unpack the Enuari combo a little more, man.
Yeah.
Malachi Starks probably makes less sense.
I agree.
Just a pure deep safety. Enuari at his size, I mean, he's really not that much smaller than who you've got at linebacker. He runs a 4.3.
Is Talanoa Hufanga doing some of that stuff though?
He is 100%.
That's why I probably just wouldn't go safety here with the board there. I'd probably say edge rusher. You probably just get more bang for your buck. If you're using a first round pick on a position where you don't really have a need, I'd rather go there than safety.
Okay. So it's Jihad Campbell, James Pierce, and Omarion Hampton.
Yeah, probably don't need to go to offensive line. I think it is those three.
I think it's those three.
Chat, who you got here?
The highest rated for me, I mean, it's James Pierce Jr., but you know what, Hank? It's James Pierce Jr. by one spot on my big board ahead of Matthew Golden.
Interesting. And I'm tempted by Omarion Hampton because, again, your one need is if you draft a running back here and he performs like you hope a first-round running back performs, anything's on the table.
I know.
I mean, if you draft a running back in the first round, you're hoping 1,200 yards as a rookie, Yeah. And if you get that, then all of a sudden the offense is fixed, the defense is good, and
I just wish it was more of a, honestly, I think it'd be more lit to go Henderson here.
It would be more lit. I mean, there's your more Joker type.
We're going to continue this conversation for another minute-a-roo on the other side here. We're going into overtime, baby. thednvr.com, our website, where you can follow us for that. Oh, Henry.
See, and this is why I could never be an NFL GM. I think there are a lot of things that like I think through well and know the trends. And when I'm on the clock, boy, do I crack under pressure.
That's why you stick to the board, man.
Stick to the board. I struggle to pull the trigger. James Pierce Jr., Omarion Hampton, Matthew Golden. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Is it,
you really can't.
With James Pierce Jr., do you worry about getting him on the field? Or more so maybe taking...
Yeah, you do.
Taking other guys off the field.
You do. It's Shane. It's the Shane Ray pick all over again.
It is.
Yeah.
But you hope that he turns out to be one of the league's top edge rushers, and you look back on this and say, 6'5", blazing fast, the burst off the line, the production on one of the best defenses in the entire country, kind of being at the heart of all that. Sure seems like a home run at pick 20. Adding Omarion Hampton does too. Let's rule out Matthew Golden.
Yeah.
Let's rule out Matthew Golden.
There's some off-field stuff with Pierce too.
Is there?
So I don't know. I think that's part of the variance with him. I think it's really more Giad Campbell, Omarion Hampton if it felt like this for the Broncos.
Okay. I'd go Hampton in that case.
I would too. Who do you think the Broncos would take?
I don't think they go linebacker.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
You think they do Hampton at 20?
I could certainly see it.
Is that enough of a Sean guy? Look,
Absolutely.
He's not a joker, but he's a good receiving running back.
They need a joker
I really
and
like
they need
that
a running
about
back.
him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go Omarion Hampton.
Let's go Omarion Hampton.
That was awesome. That was sick. The timing of that worked out really nice. I'm glad we got to talk Broncos at the top and at the end for a full 15 each.
Yeah.
Oh, this was a blast.
Can I ask one more question? Is there anybody off the board, like Emeka Egbuka, we took off the board right before? Would he change things? Does he become like you just got to do it instead of the running back?
No, I think Shamar Stewart and Jahadi Barron are the guys that went off
and
before the
Jeanty.
Broncos pick. And the tight ends that would have been like sneaky considerations.
Would have been. Weird roster building stuff when you have two receiving tight ends. What happens when you need to go I-form two tight ends? You just carry all four and activate all four on game day. But those are things you can handle.
Here's a scenario I'll throw your way. At 17 to the Bengals, we went Mykal Williams. In retrospect, maybe I would have gone more defensive tackle.
Okay.
Though they did sign BJ Hill, whatever. If they had gone Walter Nolan there and Mykal Williams was still on the board, he's a bigger edge. Maybe could play that JFM position.
Okay.
Would you have been tempted?
More tempted by James Pierce Jr.
Okay.
I think just give me the upside.
Yep.
Like if we're going first round at a position that isn't necessarily a need, give me the upside.
Completely agree. This was an absolute blast.
Yes.
Thank you so much for doing this, you guys, coming in the Toyota chat and just filling it up. This was amazing. Leave us a like on the way out. Jose, all the homies, we always appreciate you so much. The chat was really going off. I appreciate all the love. We'll do our best to answer more of your questions in the next one. Tune in next Thursday, always at 1:30. We will be doing this all year long, especially leading up to draft day. Can't miss these. So thank you so much. Thank you to super producer Riley Sorbo on the ones and twos. Thank you to you, Big Hank, who came in just dropping knowledge left and right. This was a blast. Until next week. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.